Good morning, everyone, and happy Supercharged Manifesting Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about recharging your money vibes for 2020, and I have an amazing friend that you can see here with me, and we've had some fun technology stuff, but we're gonna go with Plan B and make this work. So this morning, I'm really excited to have Vicky Iba on for lots of reasons, especially, and probably the most significant reason is I love taking people from here's what I believe is possible to here's what can happen for me. And Vicky's story is an absolute testimony to using every single thing that we talk about, we teach about, we put in practice, and completely 360-degreeing your life, especially in the area of finances. So Vicky and I have known each other for a couple of years now. Vicky's been through our program, and this year, the other thing I'm really excited about is that she's one of the speakers at the manifesting event coming up at the end of the month, because I wanted this year to be a little different at the event. I wanted you guys to see, touch, feel, hear from real people just like you who use the principles that we talk about to revolutionize and completely change their financial reality. So I invited Vicky on this morning because I know we're at the start of a new year. We're thinking about our financial goals. We're thinking about, all the things, all the intentions that we've set. And I don't know about you, but sometimes that sneaky little thing called doubt will come in. You'll be all on a high. I'm writing my intentions. I have this big, massive dream. I have all these great things I want to create. And then as the days go on, doubt begin to creep in. And so knowing that Vicky's going to be talking a lot about how she did it and her story, I thought I would bring her on this week just so that you guys could have a little preview of coming attractions of what Vicky's going to be talking about at the event. And then, as you know, every day this for the next 2 days, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 8, I'm going to have other people come on to share, because I want you to see real people living the dream. All right. So Vicky, why don't you share a little bit about yourself with everyone?
So I'm Vicky Eyeball. I live in Orlando, Florida, but I also get to live in Nashville, Indiana, and at Lake Tahoe in Nevada. And I grew up in this little tiny town in called Temperance, Michigan, small town. You'll see I have photos of the town I grew up in. And when I first saw them, I thought they were old photos, but they're not. Like, nothing changes there, and opportunity is pretty small. I mean, nowhere in my life would I have dreamed that I live in multiple places and I have the life I have today. I mean, I couldn't have even dreamed that. And so, it just goes to prove that where you're starting from does not determine where you're going to. It just determines where you're starting from in the beginning of your story. And I was thinking this morning, it was like, there were so many times that I could have let self-doubt and judgment come into play and stop me and just go, this doesn't work. And I am, much like my lovely friend Tasha, we're both a little bit of control freaks. We grew up in a world where you work hard to get what you want, and that work equals results. And that this stuff is like, well, that's woo-woo and that's crap. And I meet people all the time who believe that. And, I'm here to tell you that this stuff and this process has worked my whole life. It amplified greatly when I met Tasha and started learning from her and being mentored by her and her business partner, Diane. Because I have to say, and I really looked back at it as I was developing my presentation, every time I have manifested large sums of money, it has been as a result of connection in their community. And I think the secret sauce there is the amplification. You're surrounded by people who are all really in a high vibration to achieve more and to become more and to embrace more. And when you're in that high vibration, it just amplifies. It creates this powerful vortex.
Yes.
And so, definitely you want to be at the event if you don't have a ticket. because the first time I came, I manifested $30,000 out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it was a number that just came to me. And I just went, okay. And I think that's one of the judgments that happens is people go, I want this, but I can't have it. That's the doubt, that doubt of I want it, but it's probably not going to happen. And so when you're playing both sides of the fence there, it's not going to happen because the universe and God and source doesn't know what you really want. You're not clear.
Right.
And so that's one of the ways where self-doubt creeps in is you don't fully believe that it's possible.
Yeah.
So I've just learned to detach myself from what's possible because I've seen the impossible happen. I saw my mom when I decided where I wanted to go to college, and I wasn't concerned with how we were going to pay for it. Not at all. That didn't even pop into my head. I was going to go to school there.
Yeah.
And my parents probably sat down and did the budget, but I didn't. Like, and nobody ever said you can't afford to go there. Like that conversation never happened. And my mom, years before, inspired action, invested in stock in her company as part of her retirement plan. The employee paid for half of the stock value and the company matched it. So she had tons of stock. Well, in the time leading up to me going to college, their stock doubled and split, quadrupling her investment in a very short period of time.
Wow.
Like you can't script that. And if I had sat there and tried to figure out how
am I going to pay for college? Like,
right. Like that would have been work. Like that would have been like our traditional model of I've got to work for it. And you always take action. Like action happens. My mom bought stock. That was her inspired action.
Yes.
And so for me, whenever that self-doubt kind of starts creeping in about what's possible, I just tune back into my tools. I tune back into my journaling and detaching from the outcome and just sitting in the feeling of what it will feel like when it happens.
Yes.
And I was sharing with Tasha that, there's also this thing of divine timing.
Yes. Yes.
And so we need to remember that, God's source universe, the answer is never no. The answer is yes, not yet, something better. And sometimes we get so caught up in our timing that we forget that things are already in motion and are starting to happen. Yeah. But we have our blinders on. We're so tunnel visioned on this is how it has to show up and this is how it has to happen that we forget. And so I was telling her that years ago in a letter that we wrote to ourselves about what we were going to manifest that year, I had written about this beautiful blue car that I was driving that I loved. And I was thinking about this just the other day as I was driving that beautiful blue car, because guess what? It didn't come in a year. And I could have beat myself up.
It didn't come within the year that you
wrote that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I wrote the letter. I get the letter a year later and I read it and I didn't have the car. And I could have gone, this doesn't work. I'm not good at this. I could have had all kinds of judgments around that.
Yeah.
The reality was that car make didn't even exist yet. They were just starting to manufacture it. And they didn't make it in blue until the year I actually bought one. And they didn't make it into an automatic until that year. So it didn't exist. I can't have what doesn't exist. I had to wait for it. But I just kept staying in faith, and I would still periodically write about the beautiful blue car that I was driving, and I had so much fun driving it. And anybody who has actually seen my beautiful little blue car knows that I still love it 3 years later, and I still love driving it. And it's the perfect car.
Yeah.
But I had to be patient and wait for it.
Yeah.
With the millions that my husband and I have manifested, that didn't happen overnight. It wasn't because I wrote for 30 days and it appeared. Mm-hmm. Not that it couldn't have happened that way. I could have won the lottery.
Right.
That's possible.
Yeah.
And that's one of the paths to it.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of inspired action. It took my husband's company he was working from being sold to a guy who did not have a good track record. And so that inspired us to start our own company, which inspired me to write a letter to the developer of our neighborhood to ask him to become a partner in the company and to fund the startup costs.
Wow.
And then it took, my husband being inspired and seeing a failing company and convincing the other owners that we should buy this company and revamp their software. And that became part of the pivotal piece of what made their company so valuable.
Wow.
Doing that. So it's those inspired actions along the way. At no point when we started the company did we go, okay, let's create the plan for how we're going to develop this company and sell it for millions and make it all happen.
Right.
It was lots of little actions along the way and just staying in belief that it would happen.
Yeah.
It would. We just knew it would. There was no doubt, even though some days there might be doubt, there was no overall doubt.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things that I love about having you come to speak at this event is that year when your husband's business sold, you were at our event and we had an activity. We had an activity where we took you through dreaming and just writing what you were willing to receive, right? And so share a little bit about that. So that, by the way, I'm asking Vicky to share for two reasons. One, you can see the kind of fun we have at this event and what becomes possible for you by attending. And two, I'm hoping if you're like me right now, I'm doing anything to go sit and hear this woman talk about how she manifested her multi-millions. So hopefully this is inspiring you to come join us at the manifesting event at the end of the month. So Vicky, go ahead and share, you're at the event and.
Yeah, so I'm at the event and we have some big things coming up in our life. My son's going to be graduating and going to college soon and big things. So I knew that I was ready to receive large sums of money. And I had a purpose for all of that money. It wasn't that I just wanted it, but my money had purpose. And I think for some of us, that's important.
Yes.
That we know what we're going to be using that money for, because then it makes it more real.
Yes.
And you still have to stay detached from that. You can't be like, I need this, I need this, I need this. It's like, when I receive this, this is how I plan to use it.
Right.
And so as I was there, and this happens every time I'm there, I just am open to receive. What's the number I'm ready to receive? Mm-hmm. And I wrote a check to myself because there was a little blank check that we wrote to ourselves. And I wrote down $1 million or more.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, we hadn't been offered, the company was not for sale. We hadn't been offered any money. And I was just open to receiving $1 million or more. And many times I'll manifest within 30 days when I come to Tasha's event. But this was a big ask.
Yeah.
And so I just had to sit back and go, okay, I'm going to stay in flow. I'm going to stay in vibration and belief. I'm going to do my journaling and my meditation, and my evidence is going to keep showing up, and I'm going to be grateful for it. And by, that was in January, October 31st of that same year, the company was sold and all of the owners became multimillionaires. And it was little actions along the way.
Yeah.
And just knowing that things would align.
Right, right. So I want you guys listening to hear that was 10 months later, right? So would you be willing to come to this event, expand your thoughts, dream, be in an environment that allows you to see what's possible, put your desires out there, and have your life change? Like Vicky said, it could have happened in 30 days. It could have happened, 6 months from then. But for her, 10 months later, their entire lives changed. Multi-million. She didn't manifest $1 million. It was several, right? So like I said, I don't know about you guys, but I invited Vicky on because I wanted you, if you are doubting, if it's the start of the year and you've put your numbers out there and you're thinking about how you want your financial reality to change this year, and you're feeling any sense of, is it possible? Or maybe you're even like, okay, I've written that, but I don't know what to do next. I just want you to hear, right? I want you to hear from Vicky the things like the inspired action, the staying detached, staying in belief, having a purpose for your money. All the things that we've been telling you are all part of this process. But you want to be in a community, you want to be in an environment that will allow you to stay aligned. Because without it, you're just going to go off on your own and be back in your normal patterns, right? So make sure that you have a ticket for the manifesting event. We still have the early bird special on. So it's themanifestingevent.com. And Vicki, I know you called me on Friday to share a little bit about what you're going to be talking about, 10 things. So can you give a little, just really quick preview of what you're going to share at the event?
Yeah, so when I was looking at my story, I realized there was 10 lessons I learned along the way that allowed me to go from being able to manifest little things like designer jeans to being able to manifest big things like millions of dollars. And so what I wanted to do is to be able to share very practical lessons with actions that you can take on a daily basis, a weekly basis, that allow you to really amplify and get better and better at manifesting faster and faster. Because I love practicality. I love people being able to take what I've done and do it themselves, because just because I did it doesn't mean that I'm the only person that can do it. We can all do it.
Right.
It's all possible.
Right.
And so I want to share the tools that I used and the lessons I learned, because I want to have a world full of people that get to have the financial freedom to make the choices that I get to make on a daily basis, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I want more people to have that. I shouldn't be the only one. There should be, we talk about this whole 2%, let's make the 2% the 90%.
There you go. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And you know what? More people being financially free, just think about the world, the way the entire dynamics of our world today would change. Happier people, making better choices, living fulfilled lives, like really developing and becoming enlightened, just bliss. Yes. So let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Thank you, Vicki. Mwah. I can't wait to have you share all of your 10 lessons and your wisdom at the event, and for people to just come talk to you and hear from you. So again, guys, that's get your tickets at themanifestingevent.com, and we'll see you January 31st to February 2nd here in Stewart. All right. Mwah. Bye. Thank you, Vicki.
Yep. My pleasure.
Bye, everyone.